Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
All right, guys, welcome in. Happy Tuesday as we get ready here for a week number 11 in college football here. And, of course, college football daily powered by WagerTalk.com. Looking forward to diving into these 4 games here today with 3 of the best at WagerTalk.com. College football is his middle name, I think. Adam Trigger joining us, of course, Bryan Leonard in the house, and as Dave Cokin, as the world turns, he has got lunch prepared, so we're going to get him out of here too. Adam, I just want to say congrats, man. Last time we saw you on the show last week, you dropped a pretty big piece of information to the viewers regarding Boston College and who their quarterback might be, even though it had not really been mainstream yet, and great job, those of you that were able to tail him. What do you got going on at Wager Talk right now?
Yeah, Joe, that was nice. I don't know that it made a huge difference because Boston College didn't put up a ton of points in that game, but they won 17-3. We got a win. At Wager Talk right now, I got 3 plays up, 2 basketball plays, and I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give out the 4% NCAA football play on this show. So if you've already bought it, shoot me a DM at Twitter at TopFlightSI. I'll make sure you get something else. But I'm not going to hold out on you guys. One of the 4 games we're talking about today is a 4% play for me. So I'm going to give that out. But I do have 2 college basketball plays that I love up tonight. So go get those if you want to support.
Also, big 5% win last night on the Bears, covering, getting those 7 points. Well done there, Adam, as he continues to roll. And speaking of big 5% NFL plays, Bryan Leonard has got one ready to rock and roll here this week. And what's new, Bryan? What's going on? How was the week?
Everything's going great here. As you mentioned, the 5% play. I did want to touch on the information that Adam had. I was getting both sides on that. He was going to play. He wasn't going to play. It was a real headache going in that game. But as he mentioned, they didn't get much offense anyway, so might not have made a difference. But yeah, this is the big day for us. College basketball starts for us. College football in full gear. NFL, hockey. I mean, it's the toughest time of the year for all of us. And that gives us plenty of opportunities to take advantage of, especially now with college basketball when you've got so many games on the board. I expect everybody at Wager Talk to have a really good month here in November. And, it starts tonight in college basketball.
All right, good stuff there. Visit Bryan over at Wager Talk. And speaking, we'll just keep rolling with the 5% plays here because Dave found a game in college football he must really, really like because that 5% play is up and available right now at Wager Talk, guys. And you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody more profitable 5% plays over the last couple of years here at Wager Talk than Dave Cokin, not to mention college basketball, NHL. Dave, continuing to roll here over at Wager Talk.
Yeah, pretty good weekend in football. I went 3-2 on Saturday in college. One of the losers was Wake Forest, which was just a complete epic collapse in the fourth quarter, which so that could have been even better. Sunday was real good in the NFL. I lost the Bengals, which was a stupid play, but I had Atlanta and Denver, and I had them both with 1% money line ads, so that worked out real well. That was a good way to finish the weekend, no question about that. A whole bunch of stuff up this weekend or this week, today, whatever. It is a busy time of year, so you can check that out at WagerTalk.com. And follow me on Twitter because I'm posting a lot of free content there, including college basketball, where I'm only going to sell best bets this year. In other words, I'm only going to sell 4% or higher plays in college basketball. Everything else I'm going to give away free. So hopefully it's going to be very profitable for those of you who follow me on Twitter at Dave Cokin. Make sure and do so.
All right, there you go, guys. Head over to Wager Talk. Let's kick it off here with a game tomorrow, Wednesday. Let's take a little action here, Robert. What do we got? We got a little Buffalo taking on Miami of Ohio here. The Red Hawks open up as a 7-point favorite, 56.5 as a total at the open. So, Adam, I'm going to come to you here. Some interesting games last week here in action. This one, too, should prove to be pretty interesting. You agree with the line on this one?
Actually, Joe, so first off, this game's tonight. And I'm going to point that out because this is a 4% play for me. So Miami of Ohio is the best bet for me. I don't think the line is high enough. I've been talking about Buffalo just being a fade since before the season even started. This was a team that was 6-1 last year, finished the season ranked in the AP top 25, and then they lost their coach, had 7 players follow him over to Kansas. Jarrett Patterson, who was their offense last year, in terms of just a historic player at that school, right? He's in the NFL. And I never was a fan of Kyle Van Treese, and he's looking like he's what I thought he was, which was not a very good quarterback, now that he doesn't have the weapons around him. He got hurt in Buffalo's last game. It looks like he'll probably play here. I don't really think it matters if it's him or the backup, because I'm not a huge fan of this Buffalo team. And their offense is probably their most redeeming quality, because they can't stop the run at all. And I think, Miami doesn't run the ball terribly well, but I was going to call him Blaine Gabbert, but it's not. It's his brother. Brett Gabbert.
Call him shit then.
Yeah. Well, he threw for close to 500 yards last week, and they can definitely move it through the air. Miami doesn't run the ball well, but Buffalo, 113th in the nation stopping the run. I think if Miami can run a little bit, that passing offense will do whatever they want. I'm going to lay the points here. I've just been anti-Buffalo all year, and I'm going back to the well. I'm going to fade Buffalo. Lay it with Miami of Ohio. I think they run them out tonight.
Oh, I love it. All right, lay the 7 there, and it actually, I thought it was Wednesday, so serves me right there. Bryan Leonard, talk to me here, my man. What do you think of this game here tonight? Buffalo taking on the Red Hawks here.
If you think it's Wednesday, give us all the scores from Tuesday. I could use some
really.
there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Adam here. The MAC has been my specialty over the years, and the 2 teams I wanted to fade coming into the season were the 2 teams that lost their head coaches, Buffalo and Ohio. Ohio's playing better ball now, but they were a definite money burner earlier in the season, and Buffalo's pretty much a money burner all season long unless they play in Akron or a team from the FCS. So they haven't done so well, and I'm actually a little surprised that this line is where it is. It's been sitting at basically 7.5 all week. There hasn't been any buyback, which tells you a little bit that the wise guys weren't jumping on the case of taking Buffalo plus 7 and a hook here. So that tells you where I think the line's going to go. It wouldn't surprise me if we see 8.5 by this time this ends here. Take a look at what Buffalo has done early in the games since they've gotten back into MAC play, other than the game against Akron, who we all know, and unfortunately my alma mater, just not a good football team. But the 3 games other than that, I think we have about 14 points in the first quarter to Kent, 21 in the first quarter to Ohio, 14 last week in the first quarter to Bowling Green. This is a team that's just not coming out ready to play, and they've been falling behind early. And other than the opener for Miami when they went to Cincinnati and gave up 21, they've only given up 7 points 4 times, 3.0, and on the season they've shut out the opposition 4 times in the first quarter. So I think Miami gets off to a nice start here with the way the current line is. You could probably leave Miami, obviously less than a field goal, so they score a field goal here, advantage in the first, and you're pretty set up. You want to go watch some college basketball on this day. But, yeah, I prefer the Miami side. Buffalo's defense, as Adam talked about, they can't stop the run, and now they're playing a team that's very good in the passing game. Bowling Green last week, interesting stats where you take a look at how many plays were in the game. Against Bowling Green last week, they had 99 plays, Bowling Green 46, and yet they lost that game by 12 as a 13.5-point favorite. Buffalo's in a free fall right now. I think we take advantage of it. The sad part is it's on national TV, and everybody else will see it. So I was looking to fade Buffalo the next few weeks, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm in agreement. Miami minus the points is the way to go in this one.
All right, lay the points there. Yeah, not a good defense, Buffalo, at all. That was horrific last week, Dave. So what do you think? Is it a bounce-back spot here for Buffalo?
I watched Buffalo's game against Nebraska early in the season, and my thought watching the game was, this coach doesn't have the slightest idea of what he's doing. Sorry. Some guys aren't cut out to run the show, or at least at this point, he's not experienced enough to run the show. They're not a well-coached football team. The MAC, I don't like taking favorites in the MAC this year because, quite frankly, there are no standout teams. And, I mean, you saw last week the dogs were barking. Northern Illinois didn't cover as a dog, and they probably should have if they'd kicked extra points instead of going for 2. So I'm leery about laying points, but this matchup favors Miami. They're very good against the run. That's their strength. They've only given up 79 yards per game on the ground in conference play. And Buffalo has to run to be successful because they can't throw. So I think the matchup is what dictates the play here. And I will go along with Adam and Brian and would recommend Miami minus the points.
Yep, Red Hawks have that defense have held 21 or fewer points in 5 of their last 6 in MAC. So defense versus Buffalo there could very well be what makes the difference in the game. All right, we're going to move on here. Game number 2 that we got lined up here, and this one I'm fairly certain is Saturday. Go ahead, what do we got, Robert? West Virginia taking on K-State here. 5.5 as an open for K-State. Total 47. And Brian, I'll come to you there that did watch that West Virginia-Oklahoma State game, as you can imagine there. And West Virginia still trying to get positive yards rushing. Did not work out well with them. Kansas State, I think the last game against Kansas probably showed us nothing. So what do you think of Kansas State in this spot laying almost a touchdown?
Yeah, it's hard to grade Kansas State against Kansas because they crush them every year. It's a thing that doesn't seem to matter what the line is. They seem to get that cover. They got to buy a single point last week. But, you know, it's interesting. If the game has been moved up to, it's like 6.5 points now. So money has come in on Kansas State. And you understand why when you take a look at what has happened as of late. You know, you go back the last 5 games for Kansas State. Just take a look at plays and how many points they scored on those plays. Going back to Oklahoma, 68 plays, 31 points. 56 plays, 20 points. 59, 25, 55, 31, 57, 35. They're winning in the way Kansas State wants to win. They want to slow you down. They want to beat you. They want to wear you out. And they're putting up a lot of points considering the amount of plays they have here. And if you take a look at West Virginia, this is a team, you know, I can understand this line, West Virginia, a little bit earlier in the season, but as the season's going on, I've had some concerns about this team, especially the teams they played. Defensively, they haven't done well. They had the one game against TCU where they win that game 29-17, played pretty well in that game, but TCU is not a team I'm looking to play on at this point. In fact, in that game, they had a +2 turnover advantage in that contest, and they win by 12 on the road. But other than that, on the road, Maryland, they lose by 6. Oklahoma, they lose. Baylor, they lose. Now they're at Kansas State, and a team that I think is picking at the right time here. So we're not getting the best of the number here with Kansas State, but it's still under 7. And when you take a look at some of these games that West Virginia has played from a yardage standpoint, they lose yardage to Maryland by 168. Loses to Baylor 163 last week, Oklahoma State 152. So when they stepped up, they have not done well. The only really strong game they had all season long was against LIU, not an FBS team. Every win has been by less than 100 yards. West Virginia is just not playing well right now. Kansas State peaking at the right time. I don't want to lay 7, but there's still a couple 6s, some 6.5s out there. If I had to play this one, it would be on the host.
Dave, their inability, West Virginia, to rush the ball has been a problem all year. It makes them a little one-dimensional, and Kansas State's got a top 20 defense against the run. So I don't know that they're going to run much this week either.
No, and it makes them almost non-dimensional because the quarterback is just too mistake prone. And if you're putting the game in his hands, he's probably going to throw a pick. I made the game 9, so I think there's some line value on Kansas State. West Virginia coming off 2 pretty big home games. Look, they did well against Iowa State. That was a good game for them. And then flattened out a bit last week against Oklahoma State. I should have played the Cowboys in that game and left it alone. So that was a mistake. I just don't like them going on the road here. I don't think the game means a great deal to them. Kansas State is one of the stronger home field advantages that I give out in college football. That's a really good home crowd, which Kelly Stewart can tell you more about because that's her alma mater. But I think the crowd's going to be fired up. I agree with Brian's assessment that Kansas State seems to be playing its best football right now. And I can see them winning this game by a couple of touchdowns. So Kansas State minus the points for me.
So, Adam, how are you going to look at this thing from a total? If you don't trust West Virginia's offense, do you look at the under? How are you going to do it?
So, Joe, I was actually trying to look for a way to take the dog here and take West Virginia. But digging deeper into it, and then, of course, listening to Brian and Dave, I've pretty much talked myself off of that. I actually liked West Virginia last week. I'm happy that I didn't pursue it because they obviously got killed. But prior to that, I mean, they had some good results. Obviously, the win over Iowa State. They have a win over Virginia Tech. They played Oklahoma tight. So they've done some good stuff this year. But, going on the road, obviously going to be difficult for them. West Virginia in the Big 12, they have a home field advantage because I think, they're way off on the East Coast. The rest of the Big 12 is in the middle of the country. It's kind of a built-in home field advantage that probably works against them when they have to consistently travel to the middle of the country to play road games. So not a team I usually look to back on the road. I think here the concern with Kansas State is they have Baylor coming up, which is kind of it's looking like a big game. They got to bowl eligibility last week at 6-3. So and they really haven't played anyone of late. They've kind of been smooth sailing against the lesser teams in the Big 12. So I don't know if I want to lay 6.5 with Kansas State. I think they probably win. But, again, I was looking at West Virginia, and I think I've talked myself off of it at this point. So I'm just going to sit out of this one. I would say I leaned West Virginia. At this point, I just don't see a play here for me.
All right, there you go. Well, let's see if you got one coming up here because Big Ten land. Let's take it, Robert. What do we got? Oh, we got an under. That's what we got. Oh, hey, it's Minnesota taking on Iowa. That's where we're at here. 6.5 Iowa. Finally got back in the win column there last week. Total of 37. And Dave, I don't know what to make of this Minnesota team. Right when I think they turn the corner, they lose to Illinois 14-6. So talk about two teams you can't trust here. Do you have a lean one way or the other with this?
Well, Minnesota's shown an ability to bounce back off bad games. So I expect a better performance here. I thought that was a flat spot last week against Illinois, and they played like it. That was a bad game for them, no question about that. The tough part for Minnesota is they need to run the ball to be successful, and running the ball in Iowa is just not an easy thing to do. But the flip side of that is, do you want to lay points with an Iowa team that's so compromised offensively? They have to run the ball to be successful because they can't throw it at all. And Minnesota's actually pretty good against the run. Not as strong in conference play as overall, but still, I think it's 137 yards per game allowed on the ground in conference play, which isn't bad. So I think Iowa's going to have trouble generating offense. I think Minnesota's going to have trouble generating offense. It's tough to argue against unders when Iowa's involved because they do play to form. That's the way I'd look here. If it gets to 7, it gets back to 7. Might consider Minnesota, but I think I prefer the under. I do think it'll be a close game, though. I would look for this to be a competitive battle and a good chance it's a one-possession game. So not a play for me either way, but I would lean Minnesota and lean under.
Leading Minnesota, leading under. Adam, how about it? It's a tough place to play here. Minnesota's got to go on the road here. Do you like them in a bounce-back situation?
Yeah, I haven't bet this yet, but I'm definitely looking toward Minnesota here. Under, I guess, would be sort of the obvious take because both are having such trouble scoring, and the total pretty much tells us that it's 37. But when a total is that low, theoretically, each point should be worth that much more. So I always like to sort of take an underdog in this range with that low of total. Minnesota is 6-3 with two just kind of inexplicable losses this year. Their two losses, or the two losses in question, Illinois last week is a 2-touchdown favorite, and Bowling Green is a huge favorite. I think, if you remember back their third loss, the first night of college football against Ohio State, if Mo Ibrahim doesn't go down in that game, Minnesota could have easily won that game. I mean, they were right in it, and sort of, Ohio State sort of pulled away late when Minnesota started to struggle running the ball. So here, they're 6-3. So like Dave said, they're obviously capable. That win over Purdue looks a lot better now. And their defense is good, which is above average, which is going to make it difficult because Iowa just can't move the ball. I know they changed to Padilla at quarterback. I don't think that makes a huge difference. I still think Iowa's going to struggle to move it. I've been fading Iowa all year for this reason. And even though that sort of cat is out of the bag now with Iowa having a couple losses, I still think there's some value fading them here. I'll look to Minnesota plus the points. I'm not sure if it'll make my official card, but definitely the way I'm looking in this game, the only way I would play it is to take the points from Minnesota.
So what do you think here, Brian? I mean, the offense seems to be coming around for Iowa, right? They scored 17 against Northwestern. So what do you think here? Not necessarily Northwestern's defense, but how much faith do you have in Iowa here at home?
Yeah, I think it's been covered exactly the way I would cover it. I have no problem playing unders. I did well last week. The Air Force Army game. Played the under and went overtime, and it still stayed under, luckily. But we got the victory. But, 37 points is low, but there's a reason why it's low. You take a look at what Miami's done on the road. They played 3 road games. They gave up 0, 13, and 14. You look at what Iowa's done on the season. They've been very good defensively as well. The offense has been struggling, as you mentioned, 17 last week, but before that, 7-7 and 23. So they're not exactly moving the ball very well either. Minnesota's playing with a couple double revenge, I believe, in this game. But I liked what Adam talked about, and I was going to hit on that too. When you got a total of 37 and you're laying a number, I don't want to lay a number when it comes a sizable number to that. And Dave touched on this. If it gets to 7, he may be a buyer on Minnesota. I'm looking at it the exact same way. I think the game goes under. But when you're only having 37 points in a game where it's a situation where both teams offensively struggle, but defensively they've been very good. You go through, let's go back for Minnesota, 14, 14, 16, 23, 13, 14, 0. They've proven that they're a good defensive team, and now they're playing a team that doesn't have much offense. If it gets to 7, I'll be on Minnesota, and right now I'm looking at the under. I'm hoping to get a 38, but not on my card yet. But if I somehow see a 38 and I see Minnesota catching 7, I'd play the under and I'd take the points with Minnesota.
All right, great angle there, guys. We got one more in the Big Ten we're going to break down for you before we talk about best bets here. Let's take a look, Robert. Doesn't get any better than this. Michigan taking on Penn State in this one. Penn State opens up as a 1-point favorite, total of 48 in this one. So, Adam, I'll come to you. It's been a very strange Penn State last 30 days here, and I give them credit. I give both these teams credit for being able to bounce back after a couple of tough defeats. So, Harbaugh again on the road as an underdog in this spot. Who do you give the edge to here?
Well, Joe, I think Penn State is deserving of being favored here. And for me, I'm just going to be looking out for news on Sean Clifford all week because his health is going to determine whether I'm on Penn State in this game or I just pass. Penn State has 3 losses, but if you look at their losses, that Iowa game, they were going to win if Clifford doesn't get hurt. And I would argue that they probably beat Illinois if Clifford isn't hurt, and playing banged up. The following week, they gave Ohio State a game, 33-24 final, and then they come back and win last week. So this Penn State team, had they not had the injury to Clifford, would be in a much better scenario right now, probably a much bigger favorite. So I'm going to try to see, if I can determine if he's going to be healthy or how he's looking going into this game, because that's going to probably decide whether I'm on Penn State or not. As far as the defense is concerned, I like Penn State's pass rush. So they're going to get pressure on McNamara, who I've been talking about since the beginning of the season, as someone I just don't think is a great quarterback. I think Penn State, if they want to, can load up the box here and stop the run and sort of force McNamara to beat them, which is fine by me, because, again, I just think he's a very average quarterback at best. Michigan finally played someone last week, and it was Michigan State, and they blew a huge lead. So I'm not really, high on Michigan. I'm going to look to Penn State. I want to see, about the health of Clifford, and that's going to sort of determine whether Penn State's the best bet for me or just the lead.
It was a nice win against Indiana in a tough spot here, because we've certainly seen teams go the other way after losing that to Michigan State, Bryce. So what do you think here? You think Michigan back on track, or do you like Penn State?
It's nice to see we're not all going to agree on every game. I look at this differently than what Adam does. I did the morning show yesterday, and I used Michigan plus the 1. Now they're -1. Pick them in that range right now. I just think they're the better team. Adam talked about getting to the Michigan quarterback, but Michigan's only been sacked 5 times all season long. They protect the quarterback. They haven't had that problem all season long, and I don't think Penn State's going to make much of a difference in that regard. A good thing I will say about Penn State is in the games against Iowa and the games against Ohio State, they lost the turnover battle bad in those games. -3 against Iowa, -2 against Ohio State. They lose against the spread by Iowa only by half a point. In Ohio State, they cover that one by 10.5. So they're a team that obviously is a very good team defensively. And if they get the quarterback back, that may make a difference here. But when I take a look at the way these teams are playing right now, and obviously you got to see who's going to be on the field, but 3 out of the last 4 weeks, Penn State has lost the yardage battle, lost it bad against Illinois, 168 yards to Illinois in that game. And they came into that game as a 24-point favorite. That's not something I'm looking to back right now. On the season, Michigan has been the aggressor all season long in yards. They've beaten every team in yards. Only once, Rutgers, -77. But you go take a look at some of the teams they've beaten in yardage-wise this year. Western Michigan by 233. A decent Northern Illinois team by 398. Wisconsin by 155. Michigan State, the game that they lost, they win that game yardage-wise by 157. By first downs by 7. Yards per play, 6.7 to 6. They were the better team that day. They didn't get the win, but they were the better team. Michigan is the better team here, and you're getting them in like a pick 'em situation. I like Michigan. This is probably the strongest play out of the group of plays that we've given out today.
All right, he likes Michigan. Sean Clifford, a big question mark, isn't it, Dave? Yeah. Kind of hard to back Penn State without knowing his health.
Well, the line indicates, I mean, look, it's just a guess, but the line indicates probably not playing. Or if he plays, he's not going to be in full health. Otherwise, Penn State would be the favorite in the game at home. They wouldn't be a big favorite or anything like that, but the fact that the money's coming on Michigan and the Wolverines are favored now indicates to me that there may be some information that's not public yet that says that Clifford might not be in this game. Michigan did bounce back last week, although they were playing Indiana, so you put a little asterisk next to that because Indiana is just horrible at this point and completely spent. Indiana's played the toughest schedule in the country, so I don't really put much into that. Penn State's over a misleading final score win over Maryland. Game's 14-14 in the fourth quarter. Penn State does get ahead, and Maryland's driving down for a touchdown, and they throw a pick 6, and it turns into a 17-point win for Penn State, and they get the cover that they clearly did not deserve. I don't think they're real good. I think Michigan's the better football team, and I would have to go with the Wolverines in this contest. Not a play that's going to make my card because, again, I don't know the situation with Clifford, and I don't really trust the Wolverines because, their season kind of got away from them with the loss to Michigan State. But just on paper, I would go with Michigan in this game.
All right, leaning towards Michigan. Should be a fun one to watch for sure, guys. And that does it here. A game tonight, a couple of games on Saturday. When you put it all together, let's recap it and see if these guys are leaning one way or the other. And Adam, I'll start with you because I know you started this off here. You got a pretty good feeling about this game here tonight. So talk to us. What's the best bet?
Yeah, my best bet is for the show, and it's a 4% play that I have up for sale. So don't buy it because I'm giving it out here. It's Miami, Ohio, -7.5. I talked about being anti-Buffalo earlier, and so I'll just focus on Miami of Ohio here. Both these teams are 4-5, but Miami, Ohio is a far more impressive 4-5 to me. They played road games against Cincinnati, Army, and Minnesota, nearly won at Minnesota. Probably had a chance to win that game. If I recall. They're 3-0 at home. All 3 home wins are by double digits. I think we're going to get another double-digit Miami, Ohio home win tonight. Just not high on Buffalo. I think they're going to get rocked on the road. I'm laying it with Miami of Ohio, 4% play. Lay the 7.5 with Miami of Ohio.
Love it, guys. He's also got plenty to say and plenty of knowledge to back up college basketball here tonight. So don't get the 4% play. He just gave it to you, but head over to Adam's page at WagerTalk. Check out the college basketball packages for all 3 of these gentlemen, for that matter there. And Brian, I'll come to you. I know you sounded pretty confident. You like that Michigan game. Is that where you're leaning right now?
Yeah, I like his Miami game for tonight, but out of these 4, I think Michigan's the strongest. And being a Cleveland native, my wife being an Ohio State fan, there's no fandom when it comes to my money. And Michigan's a team that I've been on a lot this year, and I've been pretty impressed. And I like Michigan in this game.
All right, leaning Michigan, guys. Don't forget, Brian's also got a 5% NFL best bet. It's already locked and loaded up at his page, so head over there and grab that now at WagerTalk.com. And Dave, which one of these might you be leaning towards a little bit more than the others?
None of these are on my card, but I've got a lot of games up, and I've got free plays, college basketball, free play in college football on the Syracuse-Louisville game. I'll have a free play up in the NFL. Lots of free stuff, so check them out at WagerTalk.com. Of these 4, I think Kansas State. For me, I'm not impressed with West Virginia, particularly when they get away from home. Kansas State does have a strong home field advantage, and I think they're simply playing the better football at this point. So I think the line's a little bit short there. I made it 9. I'll go with Kansas State minus the points for the show best bet.
There you go, guys. Don't forget Dave's 5% college football best bet available right now at his page at WagerTalk.com. To recap, let's take a look here, guys. One more time, Adam Trigger says 7.5, guys. Miami, Ohio tonight. Lay it. Buffalo is trash, much like their professional team was against Jacksonville. Bryan Leonard, Michigan, in a play here against Penn State. And Dave likes leans towards Kansas State a little bit more than West Virginia at 6.5. And guys, now would be the time. College hoops starts tonight. College football. Don't forget NFL, NBA. All sorts of reasons and ways for you to make it a profitable week. It starts by heading over to WagerTalk.com. Visit Adam Trigger. Visit Bryan Leonard, of course. Visit Dave Cokin. Hit that bell in the right-hand corner, guys. Make plans to come back and join us again tomorrow as College Football Daily will continue here for Week 11 at WagerTalk. Guys, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for stopping by. Good luck with your plays. We'll see you tomorrow.
We've reached the midway point of the 2021 NFL regular season, and the Gold Sheet would like to say thank you for another fantastic year. The Gold Sheet has been serving NFL and college football bettors for over 6 decades and continues to make enhancements and improvements into today's digital age. Whether you're a lifelong subscriber, used to buy it at the newsstand, or perhaps have never seen the Gold Sheet, we want to share this week's edition with you. To celebrate Customer Appreciation Week, all Gold Sheet football products are free. That includes the traditional Gold Sheet with write-ups on every NFL and college football game for this week. No codes, coupons, or registration required. All productions are available for download at goldsheet.com.